indication of no holes, no cracks, no leaks.
Huh? I'm sorry, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Pull the dick out of here.
Huh?
What?
Check my bulkhead, make sure there's no rips, cracks, dents, or anything that indicates leaking. And I'm going to check my top clearance light, make sure it's properly mounted and secured to the vehicle or to the trailer, and it is amber in color. Amber. Who said orange? I heard somebody say orange. Either way. Check my running light. Make sure it is present, mounted, secured to the vehicle, and it is also amber in color. I'm going to stand here and check the frame of my trailer all the way down. Make sure there's no bends, cracks, or illegal welds. What else we got here? Next, I'm going to go to my landing gear. I'm going to make sure that the landing gear is properly mounted and secured to the frame of the trailer. Make sure there's no bends, cracks, or illegal welds. Check the landing gear itself. Make sure they're not bent, cracked, or broken. Check my landing gear feet. Make sure they are properly secured to the bottom of the landing gear. Not broken, cracked, or missing, and free of debris. Make sure your landing gear handle operates up and down, spins. Make sure it's properly secured to the vehicle, and if it does have a hanger, it is properly hung, like me. All right, keep on moving down. I got my left turn signal, which is the same on the right side. Got my left turn signal, right turn signal, another clearance or another running light, and reflector. Make sure they are properly mounted and secured to the vehicle. On my blinker, or they're all amber in color. On my blinker, I'm going to check the back side on my wiring. Make sure they're not broken, missing, or frayed. I guess I'll go ahead and say it now. The DOT tape on each, you want at least 50% on each side. 100% all the way around, but 50 on each side. Coming down here to my tandems. Get down here. This does have a sliding tandem assembly. I'm going to check my rails, make sure they're properly mounted and secured to the bottom of the trailer. No bends, cracks, or illegal welds. Make sure it's free of debris. This is your release handle. Make sure to make sure it is properly secured, your release handle is in the lock position, which indicates the pins, the locking pins being out. Which there's a pin and there's another pin down there at the back. Okay. Then I'm going to check my airlines going to my tandems. Make sure there's no rips, cracks, or bulges. My safety spring, make sure it's not stretched out where my lines are all sagging on the ground. Make sure it's properly mounted and secured to the bottom of the trailer and the air hoses. And then I'm going to check my torque bar and my track bar. Make sure they are properly mounted and secured to the trailer, not broken, damaged, or missing. Then I'm going to check my leaf springs and my leaf spring U-clamp. Make sure they are properly mounted and secured to the trailer, not broken, damaged, or scissoring. Check my U-bolts on my, because on the trailer they have U-clamps and U-bolts. Make sure the U-bolts are properly mounted and secured to the trailer. No missing nuts, everything's there. Then I'm going to check my brake lines. I'm going to check my brake lines, make sure they're not cracked, broken, bulges, missing, or no indication of leaking. Check my brake chamber, make sure it's properly mounted and secured, not broken, damaged, or missing, and no indication of leaking. Then I'm going to check my inside brake drum and lining. Make sure. Do what? Oh, okay. I'm going to check my brake drum and lining, make sure it's properly mounted and secured. No cracks, nicks, or warps from the indication of overheating the brakes. On the back side of my brake chamber, I want to go back to the brake chamber. On the back of my brake chamber, check your slack adjuster and push rod with the brakes release. Should have no more than an inch play. Make sure they're properly mounted, secured, not broken, damaged, or missing. Going to my inside, outside on both tires, checking my sidewalls. Make sure there's no dry rot, cracks, rips, bulges, indicating, busted belt. On the face of my tire, I want even wear all the way across. No more than 2 30-seconds tread, and I would check that with a tire tread depth gauge. Okay, now the spacing in between my duals, make sure they are properly mounted and secured. If you see daylight, they're not mounted properly, and you want to make sure your duals are free of debris. Now I'm going to check my inside and outside rim. Make sure the rims are properly mounted and secured to the vehicle. Checking my lip, make sure there's no dents, folds, or illegal welds. Then I'm going to go down to my lug nuts. Make sure they are all present. Make sure I see no shining. Shining indicates that it's been torqued too much or stripped. And if I see a rust trail on the back side of the lug nut, that means they've backed off. But at the end, make sure it's all properly mounted and secured. Then I'm going to move down to my valve stem on both the inside and outside dual. Make sure it's properly mounted and secured to the rim. No indication of leaking. And that is also how I would check my PSI in my tire. It should be no less than 100 PSI in each tire. And always make sure your valve stem is secured with a cap. Then I'm going to come on down. Oh shit, hold on. You caught me right as I was turning around. Check my hub seal to indicate, to see where your hub seal level is. Just wipe it. All that black right there, that's your hub oil. If it is below that, pop this cap off, fill it up, put the cap back in, and go on about your day.
2 more things.
What's that?
Check the floor, trailer floor.
I already did.
You did?
Trailer frame.
And the side wall.
I already did that. It's trailer frame.
Trailer frame. What is that?
Want me to do more? I can do more. Alright. Make sure you check the structure of your trailer. The walls, the roof, which you can't really see the roof unless you open up the doors. Make sure the walls are properly mounted and secured by all these rivets. If you have a missing rivet, that indicates there's a hole in the trailer now. If you can, take some caulking, plug it up so it don't leak. Then I'm going to move down here to my mud flap. Make sure it is properly mounted and secured to the mud flap hanger. No rips, tears, or chunks missing. No more than 6 to 8 inches off the ground. And then I'm going to check my last marker light. Make sure it's properly mounted and secured to the vehicle, and it is red in color. This is a non-ABS trailer. If there's an ABS light, if this is an ABS trailer, it would have an ABS light right there. And it would be amber in color. Then I'm going to move on back to the back of the trailer. First things first, I'm going to check my doors. Make sure they are present, properly mounted and secured. Checking my door latches. Make sure they are properly mounted and secured to the doors and in the locked position. And then going back to the doors, make sure my doors are properly mounted and secured to the door hinges. Checking all 8 of my door hinges, make sure they are present, properly mounted and secured, not going nowhere. Now I'm going to do my left turn signal, right turn signal, 4-way flashers, and my running lights. If they're up top, they're clearance. If they're down low, they're running lights. They are all present. They are not broken, cracked, or missing, and they are red in color. Then I'm going to check my weather stripping on my doors, because I always forget that one. Make sure It is not frayed, broke, bulges. Make sure it's there. Then go down to your DOT bar. Make sure it's properly mounted, secured to your vehicle, and it is covered 100% in DOT tape.
DOT bumper.
Yeah. And then another one that I always throw in, it's not on the test, but I do it anyways because out there in the real world, if you get pulled over and it's not working, it's still a ticket. Tag light. Make sure your tag light is properly mounted, secured, and working.
Don't mention that test, correct?
No, it's not on the test. It's just,
Extra.
yeah.
What is
And
called, what is called that 3 light on the center?
the 3 in the center, those are running lights.
They're also running light?
If they're up top, they're clear signs.
Oh,
If they're on the bottom, they're running lights. And that is C.